I'm going to do print and web use right here for the new document. So they're both going to be pretty quick. This is for website stuff. So if you're making this for digital, or phone or whatever it is, you're going to want to stick with pixels. There might be some requirements, or you're looking for something that has to have over 500 pixels by 500 pixels or something. So this would work 800 by 500. So this is where you input those dimensions, and you want to be in RGB, which is red, green, and blue. That's how monitors work. And 72 pixels per inch. That is the monitor. If your image is at 100%, viewing size, then it'll look perfect. So we're going to hit create here, and then you'll have basically this is your new doc. And let's do a quick one for print real quick, and I'll come back and show you how to resize it after this too. So you want to go to inches, and then you can change this. Let's just say we're going to make it 8.5 by 11 or something. So 8.5 by 11, orientation this way, and 300, because that'll translate to 300. It's pixels per inch now, but it'll translate into 300 dots per inch, which is DPI, if you're printing it. And then you're going to want to go to the ink colors of your printer, which are primarily cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, CMYK. And then let's just hit create. So now we have that document. And I'm going to flip back to this guy. I'm going to show you the important thing here, how to resize these once they're already done. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And image and image size. This is going to do the entire thing. It's kind of like redoing the entire document. So you can see that this toggle is on. It's going to take the height and width together. So if I just make this simply 1000 on the height, it shrunk down the on the width, it shrunk the height. And you can turn that on and off. It doesn't have to be on. So I'm going to hit OK for that one. Whoops, let's go 1000 and hit OK. And you'll see that everything gets pulled down. The image here and this white canvas. That's called the canvas. So let's change just the canvas and leave all the artwork alone. You go up here to image and pull down the canvas size. And now this is basically just the document, but it's going to shrink it. You can make it smaller than the actual image if you wanted to. So let's just go ahead and go to 700 and 700. Make it a square. And watch this. It's going to go, whoop, see that? There we go. So you didn't shrink the image at all. You shrunk just this the canvas, like the box that it's in, basically. So that's the gist of that. If you want to save, it's very straightforward. You just go save as. You hit whatever it is that you want to do, and you've got down here Photoshop document. That's a PDF. I'm sorry, Photoshop is a PSD, Photoshop PDF, or whatever. But you have your options or TIFF. But the biggest one I would put is right here, Photoshop document. I mean, that's what you want to save as, more than likely. And that's that for this part. Layers are pretty straightforward once you get to know them, but I'm going to pull the layers palette out here. And if you don't have that visible, it's under window and layers. And what we're going to do is, we see that this is just an image. If you opened a JPEG that you had or something, or any kind of document really, it'll more than likely be what's called a flattened image. So that flattened means no layer. So to convert this to a normal layer, you can click this lock here. See, if I try to drag here, it's going to say nope, and I can convert to normal layer. So you can do that here. And now I can move this around. What's behind it is actually the transparency grid. So I'll get into that in a little bit. But so that's you've now turned your background layer into a normal layer. You can double click on the layer here to name it whatever you want. Image, hit return. And I'm going to show you now what else you can do with these. So I have an Illustrator here, and I have a logo that I made. Actually, I didn't. It's a stock one, but you get the drift. I'm going to paste it in here, and let's hit pixels and hit return. Now I've got that as layer 2. I'm going to put logo. Boom. Now I've got my image and I've got my logo. And you see these bounding box here. I'm going to drag this down to make it smaller. Hit enter. So, oops. Now you click on your layer and you can move it around. So, see that? Image, logo. And now say I wanted to do some text. I'm going to go get my text tool right here and click here, and I'm going to go text. Hello world. All right, so if you needed some text, you have that. So that's on another layer. So now I've got, you see here, I've got my image, I have my logo, and I have my text. So you can mess with the text by double clicking on it, and you can retype on text layers there. See that? I can just, it's like normal text on any other program really. So I got my logo and I got my image. So those are the basics of layers, and you can drag these. I'm going to grab, watch this, I'm going to get the logo, or I'm going to take this image, I'm going to drag it up to another tab up here, pull down, and now we can rebuild them on other ones if you need to, no big deal. Or if you wanted to drag an element from one to the other, I'm going to drag the logo over there now, and you can see. So that's the basics of layers. They work, it's like an independent file on top of each other that you can just manipulate independently of each other. So let's jump in here. I'm going to grab this object selection tool up here, and I'm going to zoom out a little. You can just press Command minus and plus to zoom out like that. And if you hold this over anything, the subject, person, a coffee mug, whatever it is, it can select different objects. If you hold it over long enough, Photoshop kind of traces it out in its head, in its CPU, I guess you could say. But what I'm going to do is just drag a pretty tight box all around the person. Let Photoshop think. And now it did a pretty good job. I'm going to zoom in and look. You've probably, that's really good for, just for Photoshop, basically taking a guess and saying, hey, this is all right. So there's some hair missing and stuff, but for some things shot on a really, like a bright white background, and you have some kind of, dark object, that's probably good enough. But if we want to refine it a little bit, we go up here to select, and we're going to go to select and mask, and that's just, it's going to pop open this, and it's already thinking a little bit more along the lines of what it did with the object selection, but this even cleans it up a little more. And there's a lot of things you can mess with in here, smoothing edges and feather, but most of the time you can pretty much leave these here, and you're just going to want to grab this guy. It's called the Refine Edge tool. And what you do, you can use your brackets to make it bigger and smaller, or you can right click on it and change the size and the hardness, but generally speaking, you're going to want it pretty soft. And yeah, the size is, that's up to you. So, and then what you're going to do is just zoom in here and see there's white right there, right? That's the background. So we're just going to paint that out. So you're just telling Photoshop, hey, check this part out a little bit more in depth. See this white right here? Gone. So, that's what you're trying to do here. And overall the image looks pretty good. So this was a really good one. You might have to spend some good amount of time in here in some images. But yeah, I got a little bit more white out there. So this looks really good though. So what we're going to do here is we can put output to selection that just modifies the selection that you already had going. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to zoom out all the way. And now let's copy and paste the person here. Copy. Now if I paste another one, and you're going to see, I have now a new layer. See that? I'm going to toggle this one off, or I can throw it away, but I can toggle it off. See that? Now the person is on a background. No background, sorry. Background's been removed on what's called the transparency grid. So I do have them stacked on top of each other real quick. So I'm gonna go to this layer here. This is the original one. And I'm gonna show you one way if you really can't get the object selection tool to cut something out because of the background being too wild, you can use something called a clipping path. This takes a little bit more refinement. It's this tool here, the pen tool, right? And as you come down here, you'll see that I'm gonna zoom in, and you can actually click here and draw. So you're going to draw like around what you want cut out, and it's really precise. You can get all the way in here and just you trim off a couple pixels if you really want to. So this doesn't matter what color background you're on, whatever. You can just slice through anything you want. And at this part, I'm holding Option. That gives you the option to turn, basically go around a corner. I'm going to do it again here. I'm going to go down here, and then you can hold Option to stop. It kind of puts the direction of the path you're going to go. So after you get done with that, you'll have a work path here, but you'll see that if I zoom out, I'm going to get off of that work path, and I'm going to click on path 1, and that is a path here. I can turn that into a selection by doing that, or just by holding command and clicking on it. And now I have the selection, so you can actually save selections in that manner too. So see, this path 2 is just a pant. So if I click on it, you'll see the red pop up there, and if I command click on it, I have just the pants. So you can make you can draw those around anything and then save them, and always go back and make them into selections if you want to. So that's the basics of cutting something out in Photoshop. So we're going to do text and effects here. To get started, I'm going to grab my type tool here, and I'm going to come out here and just type hello world ... And I go up here to my selection tool. Now I can move it around wherever I want. And it did create a new layer. See that? And that means I can double click on this and it gets my selection. Now, so I can still mess with it all I want. So that's pretty cool. It's like it's live text still, just like in any other program. And you can see that I have my character palette out. You get that from window and character. And also there's a paragraph. That'll give you basic alignment. So if you wanted a left aligned paragraph or center aligned or right, it's not going to look much different here, but if you're familiar with paragraph alignment, you'll know exactly what's going on there. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Since this is live text, you can go ahead and still make it bigger. You don't want to do that with images that are like flattened images, because Photoshop will blur them out a little. As you make them bigger, it has to guess where to do the pixels. It doesn't do that with live text. So you can, as long as this is still live text and you can double click on it, you feel free to make it bigger and smaller and everything like that. And the next thing we're going to do is jump down here to this effects little drop down, and let's do a drop shadow. That's a good one. Look at that. So already bringing out, some dimension. You can mess with the distance. See, that one's pretty far away, and then the size is actually just the kind of like the size of the shadow itself, blurriness, right? See that? So I'll get a lot closer there so we can really have a good look at this. So whoops. Yeah, and you can mess with the opacity. So really dark one, light. Yeah. So you got lots and lots of options in there, and I want to show you what else you can do with effects. This is pretty cool. I'm going to pop down to Illustrator. I'm going to grab this logo. You probably remember this from, if you're watching this series, it's in one of the earlier ones. I'm just going to paste that on there. Hit OK. Okay, and now I've got a logo layer. I'm going to name that. And I'm going to move it underneath. You can arrange your layers. Just the text layer is same as any other layer as far as that goes. And I'm just going to shrink this down so we can kind of put it where a logo would be, ish. Hit enter. Okay, now we have our logo, and I'm going to now click on effects, and I'm going to apply a drop shadow, just like we did to the other guy. I'm going to move that around so we can see it. Okay, so you can see that we have a nice drop shadow. I'm going to hit OK, but here, let's go ahead and get a little more, have a little more fun. Let's do some bevel and emboss. Now you can see that it kind of grabbed the image and embossed it right into the photo. So like it's taking parts of the photo and like adding a little bevel to it, right? And you got outer bevel. There's a pillow emboss, like it's a different one. There's lots of them. So this is a straight standard emboss. So these are all little like really cool features that just add depth to your imagery. I mean, that looks a lot different than the flat one I dragged in there. And then you have your text up top that has a little drop shadow there. So you can see that you can, this is this little effects drop down in the layers palette here is a really powerful one. And that's the gist of text and effects. I mean, it just brings a whole new world of depth to your artwork. This part is going to be saving and exporting. So let's jump in. I'm going to go to File and Save As. As you notice, first, this is a layered document. You can see over here, right? Layers, layers. So this is a Photoshop document. So we're going to save it as a Photoshop document. That's what we want. So you can see here just Photoshop. That is this one. And there's PDF, but that's not going to keep the layers intact like it is. TIFF can, but it's still, there's still differences in those. So for the sake of this one, we're going to just leave it a Photoshop file. You hit save and you're good to go. It'll open up. It'll be the same exact setup you have here. Exporting is a different story though. Exporting, there's a couple different ways to do it. I'm going to hit export as, and you're going to see it's going to give you a little preview. A PNG is portable network graphic. It's pretty standard these days. JPEGs are a little bit smaller in file size, and they don't support transparency. You notice PNG had that option. So that's a big difference there. That's actually the biggest difference you should pay attention to. JPEG is not transparent. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. If I was to hit export, it would look just like this, except it would have no layers or anything like that. It would just be like an image like you download off the internet or whatever. They're typically JPEGs. But say I had this turned off and yeah, you couldn't see this, so now I have just this logo, right? I'm going to make this bigger just for this example, and I'm going to just make it black so we can see it. Now if I go up here and export again, export as, and check this out. See, now it's transparent, and a PNG supports that. If I was to switch it back to JPEG, nope. So PNGs can support transparency. You can actually toggle that off if you don't want it to be transparent. But you know, that's the transparent PNG. So this is really good for sticking this on a website, and you want it to be on top of you know, whatever the background is on that website. Lots of Shopify or you know, WordPress sites to say, hey, upload a transparent image, and this is how you do that. So then you hit export, and you're good to go. So I mean, that's the basics of saving and exporting your work. It's either a Photoshop file if you just want all your layers intact over here, just like that, and everything will be as it was, and then you can export them in any way you need through that export palette. So that's it. Hopefully this helped. If it did, make sure to share it with someone who needs it, and hit like, leave me a comment. Thanks.